Hello and welcome to the Littlehampton Museum Remote Volunteering Induction for photographs. As a remote volunteer, you'll be allocated your own unique OneDrive folder to work from. It will contain all you need to get started, cataloguing from home. In the folder, you'll find a folder for your accession register. The accession register is a typed Excel spreadsheet of our written object records. The information contained within these files is imperfect, as standards for recording have changed and evolved over the years. Spectrum 5.0, the system that we currently use, only existed in its first iteration in 1994. As this is largely all we have to work with, your register will be your source of information from image description to date of donation and original owner. Now note, for GDPR purposes on this video, I've blacked out the donor information. However, when you come to catalogue, that column will not be blacked out, so don't worry about that. Each category of information has its own column. Beware, as these were typed from handwritten records, so there may be typos or spelling inconsistencies. Next will be a folder titled Photographs to Catalogue. A subfolder within your photo folder will be titled with the object location for your series of pictures. This is helpful as the cataloguing spreadsheet requests this info on all records. So you can see here that this one's called Document Store, Filing Cabinet 2, Drawer 4. Within the subfolder, photos will be filed in groups of 100 in numerical order. This is because computers misfile images using the first digit and number of characters rather than true numerical order. So this will be far less confusing for all around if we just group them in hundreds for you. Within the folders, all images are named with their accession number, for example, PHT131. This information is needed in two places on the spreadsheet, both as an object reference and as a file name for the image that will be sucked up into modes when I upload. Some images will be scanned front and back if the reverse has information on it, and they'll be named with an underscore and a part number to demonstrate this. So you can see here example PHT163_1, a photo of a woman holding a picture of herself younger, and then PHT163_2, which shows that this was obviously purchased from a newspaper publication at the time. Now there's no need to record both sides of these as a separate item. You would just catalogue the first one, but we would also upload the second photo onto that description. When cataloguing these photographs, you may be presented with unique or unusual subject matter, or photos of the general area, of people or events. Any personal insight you may have regarding the scene will always be greatly appreciated in the notes section of a record. The next tool we will visit is the Style Guide. Museum terminology can vary from institution to institution based on staff or organisational preference or the software they use. The problems that arise from a non-standardised term list are numerous, with not being able to find an object being one of the key challenges. As a result, we've created a brief and informative style guide, which we expect to be used as a reference rather than memorising. The contents page lists a brief index of the metadata or column headers you may find on your spreadsheet. You'll navigate from each one to find the recommended terminology. So let's use acquisitions method as an example. On clicking through, we're taken to a table which is presented listing all the accepted terms that we use for documenting transfer of title or lack thereof. A brief definition of each term and a list of terms that you may be tempted to use or have seen written elsewhere, but we recommend that you avoid. Let's look further down. For example, if the accession register notes the image you're working on as a museum purchase, this style guide would tell you to use purchase, an item acquired as a result of a financial transaction, as the acquisition method, rather than museum purchase, bought, offer for purchase, purchased, or commission. If the register states that an item was donated, the preferred term would be gift, an item ownership of which has been transferred without charge or condition to the museum. The museum thereby acquires full title to the item. And we'd like you to use that instead of words like donated, donation, gift by executor, gifted, given, handed in, offer for gift, present, or presented. Finally, if there is no discernible information as to the origin of an object, this style guide requests the term untraced find, an item found in the museum for which no acquisition data can be traced. And that would be used instead of things like found in the museum, undocumented find, unknown, a question mark, or staff find. Many aspects of your record may require specific terms with slightly different definitions, so the best advice I can give you is to use this document, refer to it often, perhaps print it if you can, and when you can't find your answer in here, pop me an email. The final tool in your cataloguing toolkit is your spreadsheet. This is in the Microsoft Excel format and should open into a web version of the program when you click on the file name. The first row includes all the column headings we require to meet Spectrum 5.0 standards. The second row in red is a dummy example line. If between sessions you forget exactly which info goes in which column, this row may help. Both the top and second row are frozen so that no matter how far you scroll, they will always be visible at the top of your viewing pane. And a quick note about saving. When you're working in Excel online, all you have to do is type in a cell and then leave the cell, and you will see at the top it changes from saved to saving and saved again, and that means that it is constantly auto-saving your work, so you don't have to worry about looking for a little floppy disk icon to see if you're saved. It's fine. And now to cataloguing. By referencing your photo and your accession register, you should be able to create one row of data per image, following the column prompts. Let's go through each in turn. Accession number. As mentioned before, this is the file name of your image. Item marked. In your case, this column will always be yes, as we could not name the file without the item being marked. Number of items. This should be 1 unless the accession register mentions multiple copies or negatives, in which case it would reflect this. Please also add the information to the notes column. Simple name. This tells the system what type of object this is. Mostly you will be cataloguing photographs, but in some instances you may be able to tell that it's a postcard. Maybe the reverse gives it away, or the image is typical of a postcard. In those cases, please do specify postcard rather than photograph. Title. Not every image will have a title. If you can see one written anywhere on the image, front or reverse, or in the accession register, it can be entered here. Brief description. This will be a very simplistic description that does not go into detail about the specifics of the image. No naming of subjects, etc. Just enough to be able to categorize the image. Location columns. As you can see, the columns split the location into up to 4 fields. Refer to your photograph folder name to ensure each photo has the correct current location, and the last known date at the location will be the day you catalogued, so always put today's date afterwards. Full description. This is where you can be as descriptive as you like. Describe the image, name, people, places, and businesses. The more information you put here, the better. This description should leave a person in no doubt that this is the object that they're looking at. If the photo is of the same thing from different angles, copying the description to each row is fine, but remember to add different comments. Each object should be uniquely identifiable, even if it is largely the same. Condition. Most photographs will be good, unless there is a damage or defect that you can see from the scan of the image. Refer to the style guide to ascertain which condition rating is best suited and make a note in the condition notes column regarding any visible issues. Completeness. Most images will be classed as complete. If there are numerous copies or negatives mentioned in the accession register, this can be added to the notes column. The scoring columns. The housing column should always be 2, as these items are fairly well housed, but refer to the style guide to help you give an idea of how to rank the rest. It goes without saying that objects from outside our collecting area, for example Arundel, Worthing or Brighton, should score 4 or 5 in both display potential and relevance. Similarly, 20 prints of a concrete floor in an unidentifiable building will also score a 4 or 5 in those categories. Acquisitions and the acquisition method. Now, we looked at the chart of that in the style guide, and we're going to follow that for terminology in every instance. But the rest of the information should be gleanable from your accession register. So please follow the naming convention of surname, comma, initial. And otherwise, if there is no information, it shall be left blank, and that's fine. Recorder. That's you. Write your surname, comma, first name, and then claim your records. And don't forget to use today's date. Association columns. These columns are essentially optional extras, nice to have but not essential for compliance. If you know of any associations, such as people, places, businesses, or the accession register mentions them, adding them here can make searching the database a little easier, but it's nothing to worry about if you don't have this information. Notes. As mentioned previously, notes about personal insights and also whether there are negatives and multiple copies are put here. Finally, the image number is again the file name of the image appended with the suffix .jpg. That about wraps it up for all the information you'll need to start with. But as ever, me and the team are only available on email. So just get back to us with any questions that you've got. We're only too happy to help. And thank you for your time.